All right, so let's dive into something pretty intense this week. You've probably heard about the cyber attack on DeepSeek,
Oh, yeah.
that Chinese AI startup that's making waves with their R1 reasoning model,
Right.
which, by the way, just knocked ChatGPT off its App Store throne.
It did.
Yeah, so it
And
seems like right when they were poised for global domination, boom, cyber attack.
yeah, it's a fascinating case. This isn't just some random hack. I mean, this attack exposes vulnerabilities that the entire AI field needs to grapple with,
Yeah,
especially as things move so fast right now.
absolutely. And so for you listening, this all happened January 27th and 28th.
Okay.
DeepSeek had just released their R1 model as open source,
Right.
and just days later, they had to limit new users. The
Wow.
whole tech world felt the tremors.
Yeah,
Even NVIDIA saw their stock take a 14% nosedive.
I saw that.
It was crazy. So
Yeah.
now DeepSeek hasn't spilled all the beans on exactly how it went down,
Right.
but we can make some educated guesses based on what we know. The first thing that jumps out is the possibility of a really sophisticated distributed denial of service attack.
Oh, yeah, DDoS.
Yeah, DDoS attack.
Yeah.
Okay, but wouldn't a standard DDoS attack just be a nuisance? Why would this be such a big deal for a company like DeepSeek?
Well, that's where it gets interesting. Remember, they just released their R1 model as open source.
Right.
And security firm Keela discovered vulnerabilities in R1 that allowed them to essentially jailbreak the AI, making it churn out harmful outputs like ransomware code.
Oh, wow.
What if the attackers exploited these vulnerabilities to launch a DDoS attack amplified by the power of the R1 model itself?
Oh, God.
That's a whole new level of threat.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
So by making the model open source, they might inadvertently hand the attackers a weapon they could use against them.
Exactly. It highlights a fundamental tension in the world of open source AI.
Yeah.
On one hand, you've got this amazing potential for collaboration and innovation.
Right.
But on the other, you're increasing the risk of malicious actors exploiting vulnerabilities.
Yeah,
It's a tough balancing act.
for sure. And it's not just about the model itself. The attackers also seem to have targeted DeepSeek's registration system.
Oh, really?
Imagine a flood of fake signups, maybe using Chinese phone numbers, to overload their servers and create chaos.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
a classic example of a multi-pronged attack.
Yep.
They're hitting the AI model itself, but they're also going after the infrastructure around it.
Right.
And this, I think, is what makes this attack so significant. It's a wake-up call for the entire AI industry.
Yeah, I think you're right. Okay, so let's talk about the wider implications.
Right.
DeepSeek's success was being touted as a major win for China in the tech race against the U.S.
Right.
Their R1 model was achieving performance comparable to OpenAI, but using only 10% of the training costs.
Wow.
Do you think this attack could be an attempt to slow down their progress?
It's definitely a possibility, and the economic impact is undeniable. And NVIDIA's stock plunge is a prime example. What's concerning is that this attack could have ripple effects across the entire AI ecosystem we're talking about, disrupting a technology with the potential to revolutionize everything from healthcare and finance to, yes, even warfare.
That's a good point. So what did DeepSeek do in response? Did they just throw up their hands and say, game over?
No, they actually responded remarkably well. I mean, they immediately shut down new user registrations, which helped limit the attack surface.
Oh, right.
They brought in top-tier cybersecurity experts to assess the damage and patch up vulnerabilities, implementing all the standard security measures you would expect.
Okay.
And importantly, they were very transparent with the public.
Good transparency during a crisis like this is crucial, right? It can help prevent panic and maintain trust.
Absolutely. They provided regular updates, assured existing users their data was safe, and urged everyone to be vigilant.
Okay.
They even promised post-incident audits and user notifications.
Wow.
This incident shows just how vital a robust incident response plan is in today's world.
Yeah. So even amidst the chaos, DeepSeek seems to have handled things pretty well. What are the big lessons other AI companies and maybe even everyday users can learn from this?
I think the key takeaway is that we need to be thinking about security from the ground up.
Yeah.
It can't be an afterthought. We need to find a way to balance the benefits of open source innovation with the need for robust safeguards.
Right.
And perhaps most importantly, we need to be prepared for increasingly sophisticated hybrid threats that target not just the technology itself, but also the human and economic systems around it.
So this isn't just about firewalls and encryption anymore. It's about understanding the complex interplay between technology, geopolitics, and human behavior.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes this DeepSeek attack so thought-provoking. It forces us to confront some really uncomfortable questions about the future of AI.
This is definitely a lot to unpack for you listening. We're going to dig into these questions even further in the next part of our deep dive. We'll explore the potential motives behind this attack, the role of government regulation, and what this all means for the future of open source AI. Stay tuned.
You know, this entire situation with DeepSeek, it really brings the US-China tech race into sharp focus.
Yeah, it's true. You have this company developing cutting-edge AI, achieving incredible efficiency, and then they're suddenly hit with this crippling attack. It makes you wonder if it's more than just a random act of cybercrime.
Right, DeepSeek's success was seen as a direct challenge to US dominance in the AI field.
Yeah.
They were operating under export restrictions, working with a fraction of the resources compared to their American counterparts, yet still managing to produce a model that could compete with the best. This attack, regardless of who orchestrated it, could potentially set them back significantly.
And if it is a deliberate attempt to stifle their progress, what does that say about the future of AI development? Are we heading towards a world where cyberattacks become a standard weapon in this tech race?
It's a chilling thought, but one we need to consider. As AI becomes increasingly intertwined with national security and economic power, the temptation to use any and all means to gain an advantage will be strong.
This brings us to the question of regulation. Do we need stricter international rules governing the development and deployment of AI, especially when it comes to security?
It's a complex issue. Too much regulation could stifle innovation.
Right.
Too little could leave us vulnerable to these kinds of attacks. Finding the right balance is going to be crucial.
So we've talked about the technical aspects of the attack, the potential geopolitical motivations, and the need for regulation. But for you listening, I think it's important to step back and consider the bigger picture here. What does this attack tell us about the future of AI and its impact on our lives?
This DeepSeek attack is a wake-up call.
Yeah.
It highlights the fact that AI is no longer a futuristic concept confined to research labs. It's here, it's powerful, and it's vulnerable. We need to start thinking about AI security not just in terms of protecting data and systems, but also in terms of preventing its misuse.
What are some concrete steps that we as individuals can take to ensure that AI is used responsibly and ethically?
We need to stay informed, read about AI, understand its capabilities and limitations, and engage in conversations about its ethical implications. The more we understand about this technology, the better equipped we'll be to demand responsible development and use from companies and governments.
It's about being proactive
Yeah.
rather than reactive.
Exactly. We can't just sit back and assume that others will take care of these issues for us. We all have a role to play in shaping the future of AI.
So despite the seriousness of this attack, there's still room for optimism.
Absolutely. The fact that we're having these conversations, that we're grappling with these complex issues, is a positive sign. We're starting to recognize that AI is not just a technological challenge, but also a societal one. And the more we engage with it, the better our chances of ensuring a future where AI benefits all of humanity.
You've mentioned the need for open source software to be more secure. How do we achieve that without stifling the innovation that makes open source so valuable?
That's a great question. I think it starts with fostering a culture of responsibility within the open source community. We need to encourage developers to prioritize security from the very beginning of the development process, not as an afterthought. This means implementing secure coding practices, conducting thorough testing, and being proactive about identifying and patching vulnerabilities.
So to shift in mindset as much as anything else.
Precisely, we need to move away from the move fast and break things mentality that has often characterized the tech industry and embrace a more cautious and considered approach. This is especially important in the field of AI where the stakes are so high.
And what about the role of companies like DeepSeek? What responsibility do they have to ensure the security of their open source AI models?
They have a huge responsibility. They need to invest in robust security measures, provide clear documentation and guidelines for users, and be responsive to reports of vulnerabilities. They also need to be transparent about the limitations of their models and the potential risks associated with their use.
It sounds like a collaborative effort is needed here. Developers, companies, and even users all need to work together to make open source AI more secure.
Absolutely. It's not something any one group can solve on their own. We need to foster a culture of shared responsibility and accountability.
This DeepSeek attack has really brought to light the complex challenges facing the AI industry. What are your thoughts on what we can expect moving forward?
I think we're going to see a significant increase in investment in AI security, both from the private sector and from governments. We'll also likely see a push for more regulation aimed at establishing standards for AI development and deployment, particularly when it comes to security and ethics.
So this is just the beginning of the conversation, not the end.
Exactly, and I think that's a good thing. The more we talk about these issues, the better prepared we'll be to navigate the complex and rapidly evolving world of AI.
This has been a truly insightful discussion for you listening. We're going to wrap up our deep dive into the DeepSeek attack in the next part. We'll leave you with some final thoughts and key takeaways to consider as we all move forward in this age of AI. Stay with us. It's easy to get overwhelmed by all this. We've got sophisticated AI, geopolitical tension, cybersecurity threats, and the future hanging in the balance.
Yeah.
It can make your head spin.
It's true, the implications are vast, but for you listening, I think the takeaway here isn't to feel paralyzed by fear, but rather empowered to engage.
Okay.
This DeepSeek attack is a stark reminder that the future of AI isn't something that's just going to happen to us. It's something we're all actively shaping.
So what can we do? What's our role in all of this? It
Yeah.
feels like such a massive, complex issue.
It is massive, no doubt. But even small actions can have a ripple effect. We've talked about staying informed, educating ourselves about AI, its potential, and its risks. But it goes beyond just reading articles. We can support organizations dedicated to AI safety and ethics, demand transparency from the companies developing these technologies, and even just start conversations with friends and family about these issues.
So it's about making AI a part of the public discourse, not just something relegated to tech circles.
Absolutely. And as this technology becomes more integrated into our lives, our collective understanding of it and our vigilance will be crucial. We need to be thoughtful not just about the technical aspects of AI, but also about its social, economic, and ethical implications.
This whole incident with DeepSeek has really driven home the point that we're at a crossroads. The choices we make now as individuals, as a society, will determine the trajectory of AI development for years to come.
Think of it this way. We're standing at the base of a mountain looking up at all these different paths winding their way to the summit. Each path represents a different approach to AI development with its own set of potential benefits and risks.
So which path do we choose?
That's the question we all need to be asking ourselves. And the answer won't be found in some algorithm or technical specification. It will be found through open dialogue, critical thinking, and a willingness to engage with the complexities of this technology.
This has been a deep dive indeed, from the technical details of the attack to the geopolitical chess game and the ethical dilemmas. We've covered a lot of ground. What are your final thoughts for our listeners as we wrap things up?
The DeepSeek attack is a wake-up call, yes, but it's also an invitation to become more informed, more engaged, and more proactive in shaping the future of AI. It's an opportunity to ensure that this powerful technology is used not to divide us or control us, but to empower us, to connect us, and to help us build a better future for everyone.
That's a powerful message to end on. And on that note, I want to thank you and you listening for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time, ready to explore another corner of the world transformed by technology.